some of these young people who graduate from college, and you have all of those emotions, and the emotions are not because it was easy. It's because you think about all the things that you had to go through and what it took to get there. And see, everybody wants to graduate, but people don't want to go through what you got to go through. Everybody wants to put on the cap and gown. Everybody wants to hear pomp and circumstance. Everybody wants to have the graduation gifts, and everybody wants to move the tassel from one side to the other. But in moving that tassel, that's the simple act. But they don't see all the nuts and bolts and the guts and the glory and the grit and the grime and the nitty-gritty that it took for you to be able to move the tassel. You understand? And everybody, because there are many people that are not willing to submit themselves and to stay on point long enough, they don't get to move the tassel. That's why people go to 4 and 5 different colleges. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. That's why they go to a whole bunch of different churches. That's why they have all kinds of different relationships, because they're not willing to pay the price. Now in Philippians 2:12, the B portion, Paul says to the Philippian church, but they had a lot of inner conflict and strife. That's the theme of Philippians. The theme of Philippians is joy. And he was trying to teach this church, remember these were church folk, how to be with each other and still have joy. Now it sounds almost paradoxical. You mean to tell me when church folk get together, we all love God? And we all read the same Bible, the Bible? But yet there would be a dearth of joy. Something is awry here. There's a fly in the soup. Something is not wrong. Something is not right. But he had to take a whole treatise on joy to tell the church folk how to stay together, how to work together, how to love together, how to be together, how to accomplish things together. So he says to them in that section of the book, he says, work out your own soul salvation. Work out your own soul salvation. In other words, you have to stay in this thing long enough to work this out. He says, wherefore, my beloved, as ye have always obeyed. I'm just talking right now. Not as in my presence. See, that's the key. Mature people do things even when nobody's watching. Or even when they're not going to get style points. A lot of folk today, in this era of church today, it's all about style. It's all about flash. It's all about what I used to call years ago, lights, camera, action. That's what it's all about now. He says, don't just do this when I'm around. Not just in my presence only, but now much more in my absence. Here it is. Work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Work it out. You don't hear people talk like that today. Somebody needs to say amen. And now I'm saying amen to this plan. Amen. Plan. Folk don't work out stuff today. Why work out something? Why go through the rudiments of working something out when you can just jet? When you can just jet. Because the church has become worldly, and the world is in essence becoming churchy. Church folk are jettisoning relationships, jettisoning ties and bonds because they don't want to work it out. Just like in your family. All of us got special people in our family. I'm at the top of the list. We're at the top of the list. But guess what? It comes a point where you have to work stuff out with people. You know it's too good to be true. You know it's not going to last, but you got to try to make it last as long as it can. Because why? Because you are the mature one. You're the one with the word. So you got to try to make it last as long as it can last. He says, y'all are having some problems because your maturity, your character is on trial. Reputation and character are not the same. We use them synonymously as if they're synonyms, but they're not. Reputation is what other people think about you. Character is who you are when nobody's around. And Paul said, y'all have a good rep, but you don't have good character because you can't get along when I'm not around. And sometimes I'm trying to help somebody, and I said all that to try to help somebody, because sometimes here's what's going to happen. Keep on living long enough. And all the little cute people that haven't experienced this yet, you just keep on living with your little cute self. You just keep on living. experience separation, loss. You're going to experience people doing things that you never imagined they would do after as good as you have been to them. Say something to somebody. Where all the investment that you've made in nurturing, and they slept up under your blankets and everything else, and you helped them along and helped them and helped their kids and everything else. He said, I just can't believe this happened. That's, watch this, that's called being human. There's a famous quotation that says, to err is human, to forgive is divine. It's like my boy MJ used to say, it's human nature. That's one of my favorite songs. He said, tell me, why do they do me that way? He was a bad man. I don't care what nobody said. He said, it's human nature. It's human nature. Sooner or later, folk, remember I told you about the pre-existing problem. Sooner or later, the pre-existing condition is going to surface. They can suppress it for years. And when it surfaces, it's always in a category. You say, well, why couldn't they just leave nice? Why couldn't they just break me off right? Why do they have to get all funky? Because it's human nature. And it's also time for us to graduate.
Yes, amen.
Because at that point, you come to the realization, as Isaiah is saying to the nation of Israel here, that in that dark place, because that's a dark place for your soul, because you can't fathom how this can be happening at this moment after all this duration. Because see, if they had just came in and walked out, you could deal with that.
Right, right.
But it's the longevity of the thing. And you start playing that Blu-ray DVD in your mind, dates and time, the places, the situations, start running all through your mind. You're like, man, I remember this, and this. And now this. But it's time for us to graduate. That's a dark place for us. It's a dark place. But God said it's treasure, even in that darkness of separation, because folk don't want to stay and work. See, the church was designed to be the place where you can stay and work things out. Because all of us are flawed. All of us are searching for something. There's a missing piece to all of us. And what happens is the way God designed the church, unique to the church, is that we all come in here with all missing pieces, like a jigsaw puzzle. But when we all come together, we fit in together, we interlock with one another so that it enhances all of us. Ain't nobody in here got it all together. But when people have biological clocks and they have certain status that they want to achieve, and then it's human nature for them to remember it's an occupational hazard. By being a nurturer, being a caregiver, being a social worker, being a pastor, being someone that's concerned, just being a humanitarian. Sooner or later, you're going to encounter, every occupation has hazards. When I was a police officer, it was a hazard that something might happen to me, but I make sure I would happen to them first before they happen to me. That was my motto: get them before they get me. If they hit me,